CF is kind of one of those things that every time we told my teachers about it, they kind of freaked out for a second that they were going to have to, like, rush me to the hospital in an ambulance or something because I was going to quit breathing. And really, I've only had to be rushed to the hospital once because I quit breathing, and it was because I took 2 medications at the same time that shouldn't have happened. So it had nothing to do with, like, regular CF stuff. I mean, I'd just gotten out of the hospital and they had failed to tell me not to take these 2 at the same time, but other than that, it really didn't have a whole lot to do with it. But it's just something that kind of progressively gets worse, until the point that you have to go in the hospital. So I start out after I come out of the hospital, and I'm coughing here and there, but there's not a ton of junk to cough out. And then as things get worse, I'm having a harder time breathing. I'm getting more exhausted just going upstairs and stuff like that. And I'm coughing out a lot more. My husband's often like, it's time for you to go in the hospital. I can't sleep anymore because I cough all night long. And I know when I was living with my parents and stuff when I was little, as I started getting worse, it was time for me to be in the recliner because then I could sleep, propped up more, and coughed less the more I was propped up. By the time it gets to me being in the hospital, I'm coughing out a bunch of junk. And that's the main point of me going in the hospital, is to get all of the junk out, and to feed high-powered antibiotics into my system to kill the things in my lungs that are irritating and making it flare up. So there have been hospitalizations that were closer together than I wanted them to be, or a little bit more of a surprise than others. Last Christmas, I had a coworker who I love dearly who came to work sick, and she came in a couple days later and said she thought she had bronchitis, and I said, thanks. And a few days later, I was inpatient because I can't handle bronchiectasis on top of things. There have been times with allergies that my allergies and asthma and stuff build up to the point that they're making CF stuff flare up. And I've ended up in the hospital closer together for that reason. This last time I was in the hospital, they were like, well, it probably had a lot to do with the dust after you moved. And all that stuff that you don't even think about, that you're just kicking up. So there's not really like a specific, this will land me in the hospital or take me to the hospital when this happens kind of thing. I mean, I have like an inhaler that's more of an asthmatic inhaler, but I don't really attack so much as just get tighter and tighter until I can't breathe. I know I've had some friends that have gotten so bad, that they've ended up in the ICU and on ventilators and stuff. And luckily, I haven't ever gotten to that point yet. One of my friends, Linnea, just got out on Sunday of the ICU, got transferred to the regular CF unit, and we were all super happy for her. And she doesn't know exactly what led up to that. But it's more of a progressive disease that maybe when she was my age, it wasn't as bad either. And now she's to the point that she's on oxygen round the clock no matter what. And when she's sick, she's on a ton of oxygen. And so it's just kind of one of those things that gradually goes downhill. And I mean, when I was little, I wasn't even hospitalized every year necessarily. And now it's, well, usually in the last few years, it's more like 4 times a year. So far this year, I've been in 5. And the year's not over yet. So, it's just something that is a gradual worsening, pretty much.